Welcome to the CondoVultures.com podcast with your host, Peter Zalewski, a Miami real estate broker, Wall Street consultant, and expert witness. This podcast is focused on identifying real estate buying opportunities in the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The CondoVultures.com podcast is not authorized by the South Florida real estate industry and will most likely annoy many of the region's talking heads. This podcast will feature straight talk and salty language that could be offensive to some. Please remember that past investment success does not determine future gains, especially in South Florida's volatile condo market. For more information, please visit CondoVultures.com.
Welcome to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski. I own a company called Condo Vultures. Condo Vultures provides consulting services, including expert witness work, as well as brokerage services on the buy side, typically using the data collected on the consulting service side to go ahead and arm buyers who are looking to take advantage of any opportunities that might arise in the Tri-County South Florida area. South Florida is comprised of Miami-Dade to the south, Broward County in the center, in Palm Beach County in the north. For this particular podcast that you're tuning in for, this is the condo market analysis. This is where we take a look at the particular submarket within the Tri-County South Florida region, give you an idea of what's going on in that marketplace. We take a look at condo side, we take a look at the luxury condo side, the distressed condo side, as well as the rental market. For this particular podcast, we're going to be taking a look at West Palm Beach as well as Palm Beach Island. Our definition or our boundaries for this particular region is going to be Southern Boulevard to the south, Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard to the north. It'll be the Atlantic Ocean. It'll go west over to Interstate 95. So a couple of things to keep in mind, and I would like to say it one time, and this way I don't necessarily have to repeat it later on in the podcast. First and foremost, all the data we're going to be tapping into is going to be coming from the multiple listing service. Multiple listing service is a database for those individuals who have a real estate license who join a club called the Realtor Association, and their primary amenity for this Realtor Association club membership is they get to use the multiple listing service, which is the database. Why would somebody want to use the multiple listing service? Well, if you are representing somebody who wants to sell a property or wants to buy a property, or somebody who wants to lease a property, or somebody who wants to be a renter, and ultimately move into a property, the easiest and most simplistic way to sort of do it is typically use this database, this MLS. Keep in mind, groups such as Zillow, I've been told, rely primarily on the MLS for most of their information. One important part to keep in mind too, when you're talking about the MLS, a commission has to be offered. Typically, the commission will be split between that representative of the seller and or landlord. It'll be split with that representative on behalf of the tenant and or the buyer. So commissions always offered in one of these transactions. Now, the MLS will include most of the information that's out there in terms of what's available for sale or for rent. What it will not include is those properties that are listed for sale by owner. Also not going to include those properties that typically trade because somebody's driving to get off the interstate. They see a sign that says we buy ugly houses. Lo and behold, they do a deal. These we buy ugly house people don't want to pay a real estate commission, and therefore, because no commission is being offered, the property for the most part is not going to be included in the MLS. Some other properties that aren't included in the MLS will be those corporate-owned apartment buildings, whether it's 100 units, 200 units, 300 units, 400 units. Most of those are not involved near why, because simply commissions are not going to be paid on behalf of the landlord. Therefore, it's not included. So when you're looking at this data, keep in mind that most of the market, but it's not all of the market. Another thing to keep in mind is that for this MLS, individuals are entering in information. As a result, some information could be entered in incorrectly, whether it's unintentional or intentional. And there have been cases that have been documented where it is intentional. But keep in mind that this is simply a glimpse or an idea of what's going on in the marketplace. What the final data, you want to get a real sense of what the true numbers are. The only way to do that is basically go to government records. You would rely on the clerk of court records in Florida. Each of the counties have clerk of court records there. For any transaction that occurs, there's taxes paid and therefore documentation recorded. So that's the only way to really get the finalized number. But for the most part, people simply will rely on the MLS and they will trade off of the MLS. The other thing to keep in mind for this particular podcast, we're going to be relying on statistics that are between January and September of 2022. So the first 3 quarters of 2022. Here we are in February when I'm recording this. Why are we not using year-end data? Simply because we like to give a month to 6 weeks for all the data to be processed. Remember, individuals enter all the information by hand, and there can be some lag time. So a deal may close, but by the time it's actually uploaded in the MLS, it might be a couple of days or it might be a couple of weeks. So what we do, rather than having to go back and revise the data, we simply give it enough time, and then we'll come out with our final data, relying in pretty much hoping that all the statistics that we're putting out have effectively been finalized and everybody's moved on to the next aspect. Another point to keep in mind for this particular podcast is we're going to get into a lot of charts. We're going to get into a lot of data. If you want to take a look at the charts and data that we're relying on for this podcast, simply go to the description of this particular podcast, wherever you're listening to. We'll include links where you can simply click on those links and check out the same charts. If you want to see all the data that we're collecting, go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com. And there you'll be able to pull up, if you go to the market intelligence prompt, you'll be able to pull up all of our charts that we use and have used. And it'll also be a place where we're going to post all of the data going forward. If you want to watch the video of this particular podcast, because we are recording it in video, but many of you are listening to it on a traditional audio platform such as Apple or Google or Anchor. If you want to watch the video, go to a platform that provides for videos such as Spotify. Alternatively, you can go to YouTube. Our handle is Condo Vultures TV, Condo Vultures TV. We will include the information. We will include the podcast there with the video. And if you do watch on video, you will see the charts that I'm referring to. They'll be embedded into the video for your convenience. And then finally, if you have any questions for us, send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com. INQUIRY @condovultures.com. So we'll take our first commercial break. The other side of the break, we're going to get into the condo market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island.
It's a simple formula, and it works. Buy low, sell high. We're Condo Vultures, and when it comes to your real estate, we help you buy low. At Condo Vultures, we represent the buyer, and now's the time to buy. Log on to condovultures.com for more information. Condovultures.com. And remember, before you sell high, you have to buy low. Featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, 60 Minutes, and Time Magazine. Condo Vultures Realty, a licensed Florida real estate brokerage capitalizing on the condo correction since 2006. Welcome back to my Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. For this podcast, we're going to get into the condo market in general. So we're going to look at the luxury condos. We're also going to look at the over 55 community condos. We'll look at old. We'll look at new. We'll look at things on the mainland of West Palm Beach, as well as things on the barrier island of Palm Beach Island. So any and all of it's simply going to be combined into one. So what do we have going on in the Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island condo market? What we have currently, just under 200 condos are for sale. 200 condos are for sale. The average asking price for one of these condos, $2.2 million a door, $2.2 million a door. What is that price per square foot? Coming in at $1,117 a foot, $1,117 a square foot. Now, I like to point out to people, when you're dealing with condos, unlike houses, condos you should consider to be a commodity. Why is it considered a commodity? Simply because most of the condos are going to, for the most part, be the same. Typically a floor plate of a building. Let's say there are 9 units on a floor. Per se, you'll have an O1 line, an O2 line, an O3 line, an O4 line, an O5 line. Whatever the layout is for that O1 line will be included in the same, regardless of the floor you're located on. Same thing for 02 line. Whatever the layout is, it will continue throughout the entire building. So as you start to look at these condos, you start to realize that there's really not much of a difference. The only difference will be simply the height for your view. So the way you factor in for that, when we're advising developers, we typically suggest to them offer a premium or ask a premium of between $5,000 and $15,000 per floor as you go higher, and discounted by $5,000 to $15,000 as you go lower. But that's on the pre-construction side. Once they're done pre-construction and they're sold, and they enter the resale market, now pretty much any premium that was incorporated into the sales price, it's going to disappear, and the product is simply going to trade price per square foot. Some exceptions to when you get into condos in a particular building. Some exceptions may be if they're very high floors and they have taller ceilings, typically in the penthouse or the upper penthouse. That's going to be the only variation, but otherwise it doesn't matter if you're on the 7th floor or you're on the 21st floor, the layout will be the same and they will all look the same. Some investors or owners will put money into improving their units, many times over improving their units, thinking they're going to get more money on the way out when they go turn around and resell. What we've found over the years is that never really happens. The only person who benefits from an over improvement is going to be that buyer. When they come in, they buy at a discount. They're able to take advantage of all the excess money that was spent by the seller. So price per square foot is first and foremost when you're looking at condos. And as mentioned in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island, the average ask is $1,117 per square foot. How many days on the market have these condos been there in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island? An average of 98 days, 98 days. Now let's look at pending sales. These have been the units that were listed for sale, and now they have since gone under contract. They're waiting to transact. Currently 43
pending sales, 43 pending sales. The average asking price when these units went under contract, $3.3 million a door, $3.3 million a door, or $1,237 a foot, $1,237 a square foot. And those units that are pending, they've been on the market and under contract for a grand total of 88 days on average, 88 days. Now, in the first 9 months of the year of 2022, I should say, how many units traded? 400 traded, an average transaction price, $1.2 million a door, $1.2 million a door, or $773 a square foot, $773 a square foot. And it took a grand total of 26 days, 26 days. Now, days on the market is a great way to get a sense of where the market is headed. It's sort of the canary in the coal mine. So if we look at the example that I just gave you, those condos that trade in the first 9 months of 2022, they traded in 26 days. Those condos that are on the market today at the peak of the winter buying season, which typically stretches from November and or the U.S. federal holiday of Thanksgiving all the way through April and or Passover and Easter. Those condos that are for sale today, 98 days on average, they've been on the market versus the 26 that it took for the units in the first 9 months of the year to trade. So you can see there's a disconnect between the buyer and the seller. Many times sellers tend to get overly optimistic about what they have. They ask for a lot, especially at this time, given the fact we still have a couple months left in our winter buying season. So some sellers might be holding firm to their price, but as we get closer to the hot, humid days of hurricane season, which really start to ramp up in May, June, July, then you tend to see a pullback or a less confidence on behalf of sellers. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, the other thing to keep in mind in terms of gauging confidence and gauging the market is what is the spread, the premium that a seller is seeking over the average transaction price. So if we go ahead and we look at what's going on in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island, the average ask price was $2.2 million, while the average transaction price was $1.2 million. That works out to about an 85% premium being sought by today's seller. However, based on years of experience, what we generally see is once that spread or that premium between the average asking price and the average transaction price, once it gets into somewhere in the vicinity of about 20% spread, you start to get some activity. And the activity that comes in, it tends to be the buyers that are willing to sort of throw offers, hope that they can get a discount off the premium and ultimately get a deal done. But when I see an 85% spread on behalf of, in terms of price per door, asking by sellers, that suggests to me that sellers are extremely optimistic and unlikely to do a deal anytime soon. Now let's talk about price per square foot and what the spread is there. We're looking at 45% spread, 45% spread. Again, ideally 20% is where you're going to generate activity. So $1,117 per square foot is what the average asking price is for a condo in West Palm Beach. But those units that traded, they traded at 773. So you can see optimistic sellers and buyers sitting on the sidelines. Remember, the days on market was 26 days for a unit to trade versus those that are for sale today. They've been there 98 days. So we're seeing this disconnect. We're seeing the erosion of what at one point was a hardcore buyer's market. Now, let's talk about how many condos traded per month in the first 9 months of 2022. It's 44. How am I coming up with that number? Well, I'm taking the 400 units that traded between January and September of 2022 divided by the 9 months, which is the period of time we're looking at. That's where I come up with the 44 units. Now, if I take that sales piece of 44 units a month, I divide it what's currently in the market, which is just under 200, I'm going to come up with about 4.5 months of supply, 4.5 months of supply. What does 4.5 months of supply mean? Well, equilibrium is typically thought to be 6 months. Anything greater than 6 months would suggest it's a buyer's market and there's plenty to choose from. Anything less than 6 months suggests it is a seller's market. So based on the traditional definition of equilibrium in a marketplace, we would define the West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island marketplace as a seller's market. However, looking at the days on market and the discrepancy that exists, as well as the premiums that are being sought by sellers versus what buyers are willing to pay, suggests that this market is on the brink of softening. And probably as we get into the hot, humid days of summer and hurricane season, you're probably going to see some real price erosion in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island condo market. So we'll take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get in the luxury condo market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And I wanted to alert you that if you have a property that you're looking to sell in the Tri-County, South Florida area, I would encourage you to reach out to Jenny Cortez, a licensed real estate broker with cvrrealty.com. She's my partner. She's been in the business for north of 15 years. More importantly, she knows the market. She knows how to get a deal done. And she also realizes that it's more important to get a price that you can accept and sell the property rather than to hold firm on some price that's never going to be achieved and ultimately languish on the market. So if you're looking to do a deal that you want a skilled expert who can help you sell a property, reach out to Jenny Hortus at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859, or visit her website, cvrrealty.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. If you want to check out any of the data we're referring to, simply go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com. There you'll see a market intelligence button or a prompt. Click on that. You're going to get all of the data. Also, too, you can get the links for the data and the charts simply by going in the description of this particular podcast. If you are watching the podcast on platforms that permit it, such as Spotify, if you're watching us on YouTube, where our handle is Condo Vultures TV, the charts will be embedded into the video. Now, let's talk about luxury condos in West Palm Beach and the Palm Beach Island marketplace. And what luxury is, it's basically in the eye of the beholder. If you come down here in South Florida and you've lived here, if you visited here, or you're thinking about visiting, a term you're going to hear all the time is luxury. Luxury, luxury, luxury. Luxury is code for effectively marketing a property to be greater than it is and trying to justify charging a premium. That's the way we sort of define it. Luxury is also a very generic definition, very hard to kind of put your finger on what exactly is it. So when we're pulling data, we're trying to figure out, okay, what is luxury? What's not luxury? What we did is we came up with an arbitrary number, and our number is $1 million. So if a property is listed for $1 million or more, if it trades for $1 million or more, we're going to call it luxurious. If that property is listed or trades for $999,999, we're going to say it's just standard. It's basic. So $1 million or more is luxury, and that's what we're talking about in this particular podcast. How many condos are currently available for sale in West Palm Beach as well as Palm Beach Island? Look at 91 luxury condos for sale. Average asking price of these luxury condos, $4.3 million a door, $4.3 million a door. Average asking price per square foot, $1,769 per square foot, 1,769. And those luxury condos that are on the market, they've been there 111 days and counting, 111 days and counting. Pending sales for luxury condos, 23 pending sales. Average asking price for those condos when they went pending sale, $5.8 million a door, $5.8 million a door. On a price per square foot basis, $1,897 a foot, $1,897 per square foot for those luxury condos that are pending. And they've been on the market and pending for a grand total of 108 days. And then finally, transactions for luxury condos, first 9 months of 2022, 113 luxury condos traded, 113 traded an average price of just under $3.1 million a door, $3.1 million a door, or $1,528 a square foot, $1,528 per square foot. And those luxury condos that traded between January and September of 2022, how long did it take? 35 days. Remember, days on market is canary in the coal mine, what's going on in the marketplace, especially as we go forward. So we can see those luxury condos that traded in the first 9 months of 2022 move grand total listed ending closed 35 days. The condos that are for sale today, 111 days and counting. Keep in mind that these condos that are currently in the market today were go under contract. Generally speaking, it's going to take them another 30 to 60 days to close. So you can see a real breakdown between what sellers want and how often and active buyers are willing to pull the trigger. So this is a suggestion going forward. We're probably going to see some softness in the marketplace of West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island. Now, what about the difference between, or the premium between what sellers want and what an average condo trades for in a particular marketplace? What we're finding is there's about a 39% spread, Ideally, that spread should be about 20% to garner activity or generate activity. And typically when that spread of 20% gets squeezed to about 8 to 12%, you tend to get a deal done. Kind of like, let's go hamsies in terms of the difference between what's being asked and what somebody really wants to pay. But when we see 38, 39% spread like we do for condos in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island, that suggests we have some very aggressive sellers who are probably still banking on the fact that there's a few months left in this South Florida winter buying season. So what about price per square foot? What is the spread there? 16% roughly, 15.8, 16%, somewhere right in there. The average asking price was $1,769 a foot. The average transaction price, $1,528 a foot. Now, remember what I said, when that 20% spread exists, people will throw offers out there. And typically when that spread gets between 8 and 12%, you're going to get a deal done. Well, what we're seeing here with this 15, 16% spread on the price per square foot basis for luxury condo, that suggests that some of these sellers must be looking to sell. They're pricing the place appropriately in anticipation of being able to sell. Maybe these are some sellers who understand what's coming down the pipe because of a strong dollar, because of steady inflation, because of an increased number of layoffs, and because of what's going on in the stock market as well as inflation. So you do have some people on the luxury condo side that apparently are pricing their condos in order to sell. Now, how many luxury condos traded in the first 9 months of 2022 on a monthly basis? Came out to just under 13. So we had about 13 luxury condos trading per month in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island. How am I coming up with that number? Well, I'm taking total sales, which was 113. I'm dividing it by 9, which is the 9-month span that we're looking at. And that's how I'm coming up with roughly 13 units trading per month. Now, if I want to get the supply of condos in the luxury condo market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island, I simply take that pace, that sales pace of just about 13. I divide it what's on the market, which is 91 units. I'm going to come up with 7.2 months of supply. What does 7.2 months of supply mean? Well, what it means is we have a buyer's market for luxury condos in West Palm Beach. Equilibrium will be 6 months of supply. Anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. The seller, therefore, has the opportunity to ask for whatever they want simply because there's nothing to choose from. But when we get north or higher than 6 months, now the buyer starts to get the advantage because there's too much supply. Now, 7 months is not exactly a overwhelming buyer's market, but it is moving that way. And again, we're at the peak of the winter buying season. As we get into hurricane season, chances are you're going to see that supply number continue to increase and only get larger. So that is a wrap up of the luxury condo market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island. We're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the distress market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. Before I started doing these podcasts, I've been in the business of being a licensed real estate broker, a contributing columnist for the Miami Herald, as well as the Miami Real Deal, but also extra witness work in consulting. So if you are looking for an expert witness, or if you're looking for consulting services, a straight talk perspective as to what's going on in a particular marketplace, a building, or what happened previously, for whatever your situation is, whether you are an attorney, whether you are a institutional fund looking to invest, or whether you're a lender who's trying to come up with some sort of strategy and approach for your lending committee going forward, I just might be able to help you. To get a hold of me, please reach out to Peter@condovultures.com. That's Peter@condovultures.com, or give me a call to the office at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. We talked about condos and we talked about luxury condos. This segment's going to be the distressed condo market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island. So to understand distress, you need to realize there are 2 categories that you're going to find if you use the multiple listing service, or if you use a realtor, try to find these properties. One way is to look for something called a short sale. Another way is to look for a property called a real estate owned. It's also referred to as an REO, also called a bank owned, also called a foreclosure. So 2 different categories. The short sale is going to be a property where the borrower, who is also the owner, will come up short of repaying the bank what's owed on the property. The REO is a category for a property where a bank will foreclose, take title to the property, use the court process, and ultimately have a category on its balance sheet, which is real estate owned by the bank. So lenders like to lend money. They don't like to own real estate, but they will lend money against real estate, but they don't want to own it. And typically once a bank takes back a property, they're going to try to move it out the door and try to recoup some of the money that was lost during the foreclosure. So those are the 2 categories, short sale and REO. Now let's get into what's going on in the overall West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island market for distress. Generally speaking, overall, there's currently 0 distressed properties on the market, 0 distressed properties on the market. How many units are currently pending that are distressed? 0. How many traded the first 9 months of the year? Only one. Now, let me drill down and tell you that based on that one sale, the 1 unit that traded in the first 9 months of the year, if I take the 1 unit, I divide it by 9 months, I'm going to come up with 0.1 distressed condos trading per month. So it's no market. And what is the supply? A month's supply? 0, because we don't have anything available for sale. But we will drill down into the short sale side, take a look at that, as well as the real estate owned side to give you a glimpse of that. On the short sale side, not much to talk about because there were 0 short sales on the market for sale. There were 0 pending sales, and there were 0 transactions between January and September of 2022. Now let's go over to the real estate owned side. Again, this is the side where a person or an entity will stop paying its mortgage. the bank will move to foreclose. The bank will go through a 9 to 12 month foreclosure process. Ultimately, the bank will spend thousands of dollars in order to go through and pay the legal fees, and the bank ends up with the title as well as the keys in order to go ahead and resell the property on the other side of the court process. Whatever money that's collected by reselling it will go towards repaying the bank for what it's owed, and then the bank has the option many times to go ahead and sue the individual who lost the property and try to recoup any of the difference between what that was put out on the street and what was generated by the sale of the foreclosure property. And then the difference would simply be made up by suing that particular individual. So REO side, as mentioned, 0 properties for sale. REO side pending sales is 0. There was one transaction. That REO transaction in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island, the unit traded for $155,000 on a price per square foot basis. Only $206 a foot, $206 a foot. So you can see in REO, if you can get your hands on it, it's going to offer some significant value, even if work has to be done on the inside. If you're getting in the door at $206 a foot, when the average transaction price in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island is north of $700 a foot, you can see why it would be attractive. Now that REO that traded, it took 91 days from the time it was listed, went under contract, and ultimately transacted. Now, what's the difference in terms of spreads? Well, nothing really to talk about because nothing is available right now. In terms of sales pace, as mentioned before, you take that one unit that traded, you divide it by the 9 months in the period of time we were looking at, that's 0.1 months of distressed condos trading per month. And then because nothing's available for sale, there is no way to track supply. So that's the overall distressed condo market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island. We'll take a commercial break. Other side break, we're going to get into the rental market.
Don't buy a South Florida condo, discounted or distressed, before taking a Condo Vultures correction tour. CondoVultures.com offers weekly bus and walking tours that focus on educating buyers on the how-tos of identifying discounted condos, analyzing the opportunities, and purchasing units. Every tour attendee receives a list of all condo projects in a particular market, a market assessment handout, and unmatched expert analysis. For more information on the condo correction tours, please visit condovultures.eventbrite.com.
Welcome back to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. We talked about condos, we talked about luxury condos, we talked about the distressed condos. Now we're going to talk about the rental market in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island. Many of you will purchase a condo because you want it as a primary residence, or you use it as a second home. It'll be a vacation home. You're not really thinking about renting it. However, things change. Life changes. Life is always up and down. Pandemic's a perfect example. So maybe you're going to purchase this property, and maybe you will have a change in family status. Maybe you'll have a change in jobs. Maybe you have a change in health. And lo and behold, your plans aren't going to play out the way you originally thought. And now suddenly you have this condo and you want to try to rent it out, but you have no idea what's going on in the rental market. That's why I say it's always important to track the rental market, be aware of it, and then you can make your decisions or you make your decisions. So we're going to talk about rental statistics. But as mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, rental data is really hard to come by. And because it's hard to come by for a variety of different reasons, including the fact that large corporate owners don't want to pay commissions, therefore properties aren't in the MLS, as well as the fact that there's no government taxes paid, therefore no document is recorded with the clerk of the court in Florida. It's real hard to gauge sort of what's going on in the rental game. Another thing to factor into is when you rent a property in South Florida, you can rent it by the night, you can rent it by the week, you can rent it by the month, or you can rent it by the year. And as a result of all of that, what you'll find is that in order to get real, true, pure data, you're going to need to break out and combine or look at all of the product that's apples to apples. So only look at rentals that are by the month or by the week or by the day. So we don't really want to spend a lot of time pulling data that way, putting in all of the brain hours and try to pull it together. So rather than come up and look at averages, which is what we did for all the previous segments, for rental data, we're simply going to look at the median number. Median number will be the one right in the middle. Is it 100% accurate and complete? No, but neither is the rental data. Therefore, why spend the time heavy lifting trying to process the data in such a way where it's accurate as possible, but there's really nothing to guarantee that the overall numbers are going to be right anyway. So we want to give you a sense, and that sense is simply based on median. It's not based on average. So what do we have in the rental market? Currently 247 properties for rent in West Palm Beach as well as Palm Beach Island, 247. The median asking price per unit monthly, $4,000 a month, $4,000 a month. The median price per square foot monthly, $3.96 a square foot per month, $3.96 a square foot per month. And those places that are on the market today, they've been there 48 days and counting, 48 days and counting. pending rentals, 50 of them, 50 places are under contract waiting to transact. The median price for those places that are pending, $3,200 a month, $3,200 a month. Median price per square foot, $3.13 a square foot per month, $3.13 a square foot per month. And days on market for those pending, 37 days on a median basis. And then the places that did rent in the first 9 months of 2022, 508 of them, 508 rented at a median price of $2,650 a month, $2,650 a month, or $2.96 a square foot per month, $2.96 a square foot per month. And it took them a grand total of 21 days. Remember, days on the market is canary in the coal mine as to whether the market's headed. So it took only 21 days to rent an apartment in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island the first 9 months of 2022. However, today, the places that are for rent, they've been sitting there 48 days. So it's already twice as long to try to rent a property right now in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island than it was in the first 9 months of 2022. And so that's, again, a really good indication that there is a breakdown between what landlords want and what renters are willing or able to pay. Now, let's look at the comparison between the spread and the premium that landlords are asking versus what renters have paid in a particular building or a marketplace. About a 51% spread. Generally speaking, it should be about a 20% spread. Remember, $4,000 a month is what the median ask is versus those that were rented first 9 months of the year at $2,650 a month. So that's 51% spread. What is that on a price per square foot basis? Price per square foot basis, the landlords are asking a median basis $396 a foot per month, $396, but they were actually leased at $2.96 a foot per month, $2.96 a foot per month. That's 34% spread. That range should be more like 20%, where a property is about 20%, premiums 20% higher than what a place typically goes for. That's generally when you're going to get some activity. You'll have some renters who are thinking, okay, maybe I can get this place. Let me see if I can negotiate down the price. So 20% is what you typically look for, because maybe you can get a deal done. And typically those deals that do get done, they get done somewhere in that vicinity of 8 to 12% premium over what the median price is. And then finally, how many units were rented per month in West Palm Beach, Palm Beach Island in the first 9 months of the year? Comes out to about 56 units were rented per month. 56, how did I come up with that? Took the 508 that were leased and divided by the 9 month span that we're looking at. And that's where I come up with my 56. Now, if I take my 56 units leased per month pace, divide that what's currently on the market, which is 247, I'm going to come up with 4.4 months supply, 4.4 months of supply, which means based on the traditional rule of thumb, 6 months being equilibrium, this will be a landlord's market for rentals in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island. However, if you look at those statistics and you look at what I referred to, days on market being double, twice as long now to lease a place as it did first 9 months of the year, you look at the asking price spreads between what a landlord wants versus a renter is willing to pay. This suggests that now that we're at the peak of the winter buying season, and as we get closer to the hot and humid hurricane season in the summer, May, June, July, August, you're probably going to see a real pullback in pricing, as well as possibly the number of units that are on the marketplace. So going forward, I would watch for a pullback. I would watch for a deterioration in pricing in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island in terms of the rental market. So that's an overview of what's going on in the West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Island marketplace. I want to remind you, if you have any questions for us, send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, INQUIRY@condovultures.com. If you want to take a look at any of the data that I'm referring to in this particular podcast, you can find it in links in the description of this podcast, or you can go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com. There you'll see a prompt for market intelligence. Simply click on that. All the data will be available. And if you watch us on any of the platforms that provide for videos, such as Spotify, or if you watch us on YouTube, where our handle is Condo Vultures TV, the charts will be embedded in the videos in which we are posting. So I'm Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that. We hope that you will subscribe to our podcast. We hope you will return for our next overview. Going forward, we're going to be rounding up the 2022 statistics. We'll be comparing it to what's currently on the market. So until next time, take care of yourself and we'll see you soon. Ciao, ciao.